Hello, I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle. You are listening to or watching Radio Maine, where each week we explore and celebrate creativity and the human spirit. We are sponsored by the Portland Art Gallery in Portland, Maine. This is the 22nd in our solo series. Today's reflection is called Working in the Margins. For a long time, I thought that the important parts of life happened in the center, in the main event, in the big meetings, the major decisions, the clearly defined goals. The margins felt optional, peripheral, something you squeezed in when everything else was done. Over time, I learned the opposite. The margins are where most of the real work happens. In medicine, margins were everywhere. The few minutes after an appointment ended, the pause before responding to a difficult question, the quiet note scribbled in a chart that helped me remember who someone really was beyond their diagnosis. Some of the most meaningful moments with patients happened after the formal visit was over, when the door was already open, when the pressure to perform had eased, when someone said, almost as an afterthought, "There's one more thing." That one more thing was often the heart of the matter. Margins are not empty space. They are spaces with fewer demands, fewer expectations, less noise. And because of that, they hold truth. I've seen this in creative work as well. The idea that changes everything rarely arrives when you're forcing productivity. It comes while walking between tasks, while jotting a note in the corner of a page, while rereading something you wrote weeks ago and suddenly seeing it differently. Some of my most important writing has emerged from margins, from scraps of time, from thoughts that didn't yet deserve a full paragraph, from noticing a phrase that lingered longer than expected. Leadership has margins too. In leadership roles, we tend to focus on agendas, outcomes, and efficiency. But culture is shaped in the margins, in the way people speak to one another before meetings start, in whether dissent feels safe, in whether someone is heard even when their contribution isn't polished. I've learned it that if you want to understand a team, pay attention to its margins. Who speaks when there is no formal invitation? Who stays silent? Who follows up after difficult conversations? Those details reveal far more than any mission statement. Margins are also where we tend ourselves. Most people don't burn out because of one big thing. They burn out because margins disappear. And there is no space between effort and rest, no buffer between responsibility and reflection, no room to process what has been taken in. I've lived that. There were seasons when my days were packed tightly, each moment accounted for. On paper, everything worked. In reality, something essential was missing. What I needed wasn't another solution. I needed margins again. Margins allowed me to hear my own thinking, to notice when something felt unsustainable, to reconnect with why I was doing the work in the first place. Grief reshaped my relationship with margins too. After my father died, I could no longer move through days at the same pace. I needed space to absorb what had changed. Margins became a form of respect for loss, for memory, and for the depth of relationship that doesn't fit neatly into schedules. In those spaces, I learned that slowing down wasn't avoidance. It was integration. The Bountiful Path grew from that understanding. It wasn't designed to fill space. It was created to hold it, to offer room for reflection without urgency, to value what happens between milestones, not just the milestones themselves. Working in the margins asks us to resist the belief that every moment must be optimized. It invites us to trust that meaning accumulates quietly, that insight often emerges when we stop trying to produce it. This doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It means engaging differently. It means leaving room at the edges of your day. Room to think, room to feel, and room to notice what lingers. So here's an invitation for this week. Look at your margins. Not to judge them, not to fill them immediately, just to notice. Where do you have a few unclaimed minutes? Where do conversations soften when structure falls away? Where do ideas return when you stop pushing them? Those places matter. You are allowed to work there. Thank you for listening to this episode as part of the Bountiful Path, a Radio Maine series. If reflections like this resonate, I invite you to join me on the Bountiful Path on Substack, where I write about presence, creativity, leadership, and the quieter practices that sustain us. I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle. Thank you for listening to Radio Maine. May you find value not just in what you build, but in the spaces that make building possible.